Welcome to Christianity in Turmoil. When I started researching this view seriously 2 years ago, the passage that I thought was significantly overlooked when discussing this view is the passage that I will go over today, 2 Peter 2:6. This passage, in my opinion, is on the same level of importance regarding the debate as Matthew 10:28, which many believers in this view argue is their proof text. The verse reads as following.
He condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah to destruction by reducing them to ashes, having made them an example to those who would live ungodly lives thereafter.
Now you can likely understand how one would gravitate towards this passage as support of this view. The desolation of two cities indulging in such sinful behavior that there was literally not a single person to be saved in the entire city is the example of what is coming, future, for those who don't believe. For context of this passage, Peter warns about how the future contains false teachers and false prophets who will subtly introduce destructive heresies, even to the point of denying Jesus Christ. Peter, as does any Christian, does not take something like this lightly and emphasizes that God's judgment is absolutely not asleep for these people, and their destruction is coming soon. He then provides examples of those he's condemned and who he's saved from the immoral, like Noah and his family in the ark, or Lot from Sodom and Gomorrah, and how he will always redeem the righteous from punishment on the day of judgment. This is absolutely a passage about the final day of history and who's condemned and who's saved. While it may seem like pretty good support for annihilationism, as the passage is pretty clear in and of itself, there are two other specific reasons that really put the nail in the coffin of what it's trying to entail. First of all, the Apostle Peter addresses that they have been made an example of the condemnation that is coming. This seems to represent the Jewish thought. Many passages sprinkled throughout the Bible allude to Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction and how they are the example those who worship the God of Israel strive to be the opposite of. Even Jesus and Paul allude to it, implying that the nation of Israel had passed on the story for generations as the prime example of what not to do. If the Apostle Peter is representing Jewish thought, this seems to show that eternal torment was never really on any of their minds. They compared ungodly behavior to a final fate of judgment, of desolation, destruction. This is how the Jews really seem to understand final punishment. Second, the word used for destruction is different from apollumi or alathros, the two most common uses of the word in biblical literature. Instead, it uses the word catastrophe. Apollumi will be given its own video later in the series, but simply put, each of those words roughly mean the same thing with minor differences. With catastrophe, however, it holds a much stronger meaning in this passage. Catastrophe means destruction and ruination, yes, but it also means a collapse or an overthrowing. This holds a much more powerful meaning in the grand scheme of things regarding eschatology. Yes, Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed, but their ways and their lifestyle was overthrown. It collapsed. Their society, built on sexual immorality, was no more. The use of the word catastrophe shows something more. It shows that in the final judgment of what awaits the ungodly, while they will be destroyed and will no longer be seen any longer, their way of sinfulness will be gone. It will be overthrown by the God of peace and shall no longer plague the world. Finally, the language of 2 Peter 2:6 ties itself into Jude 1:7 and Malachi 4:3. Jude 1:7 explains how Sodom and Gomorrah are the example of the ungodly at the time of final punishment. See my Matthew 25:46 video for further explanation, just like 2 Peter 2:6, and the language of ashes ties itself into Malachi 4:3, explaining that the righteous will trample the wicked underfoot, ashes under the soles of their feet. These three passages work beautifully to tie everything together. The righteous will be victorious, and sin shall be destroyed. But all of it doesn't matter if you don't know Jesus Christ. Which group do you want to be a part of? Come to our Lord. You will be made righteous at the judgment throne of God.